Hi, True Avatars, and welcome to your weekly queer video game podcast. This is episode 70, and I am your host, Zoe Wild. I am a transgender and bisexual woman, and my pronouns are she, her. Joining me this week is Lloyd Lloydster. Lloyd is a trans man and variety streamer on Twitch. How are you, Lloyd?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you back on. I think was it last week or the week before we were supposed to have you on, and then last minute there was a technical problem, and it was just easier and less stressful for both of us to just not have you on with Ekami, I think.
Yeah, I think it was episode 68. Yep, just too many technical things are going wrong, and I was like, it's not in the cards. We'll be back.
Yeah. Which is actually good, because I want to talk to you about a certain video game during the What We've Been Playing section. Yes. And I got to play more of it before this week, so we can at least chat about it. That game is Celeste, by the way, for everyone listening, is that Lloyd and I have started playing Celeste finally. We are finally gonna acquire our trans card.
Yeah.
Officially. So
we've been talking about this for a lot of last year too. We were like, oh, we should do this. Finally, we've started.
We're finally doing it. Yeah. So we're going to talk about what we've been playing. And we're also going to talk about the headlines. So this week there's not that many headlines, but they're big headlines, or at least there's one really big headline that I'm really, really excited about. If anyone's seen the title, you probably already know what we're going to talk about. But Tomodachi Life had a direct, and they brought the gay, which I'm very excited for. Some devs are skipping the Game Developer Conference, but is it affecting attendance numbers? We're going to dig into that as well. And the industry has a massive response to the Ubisoft layoffs and restructuring, and a little bit more as well at the end of that, all that news too. And then for our segment, Lloyd, are you ready to talk about AI? We're finally going to do it.
We're going to do it. I'm ready. I've got like a couple thoughts and things going on, but we're going to do it. Today's the day.
Yeah. Today is the day. At one point we were planning on having many more people on the episode, but this week I didn't have a segment, and this news kind of hit, and then more news hit, and it's all like Gen AI in video game news specifically. There's been a little bits and pieces of it leading up to this, but then there was a big headline this week, and then I think today, like this afternoon, another big headline hit. So, we're just gonna kind of dig right into that. And I'm sure people can guess where our takes are gonna go on this. Like we're a pretty woke, progressive, forward-thinking, down-to-earth podcast, so I'm sure people are going to hear the FAI phrase quite a bit, but we're going to be a little more nuanced than that in what we're going to say. But anyway, before we jump into all that, though, I do have a few quick favors to ask of you, True Avatars. If you like this podcast, please leave a comment, rating, or review on your preferred podcast platform. Spotify has ratings and comments, while Apple has reviews. Engagement like comments, ratings, and reviews helps to grow the podcast, and a growing podcast means a happy podcast host who is forever happy and fulfilled that you enjoy listening to her show, which creates an infinite feedback loop of more podcast episodes and more growth and more happiness. So please, go leave a comment, rating, and or review. If you're watching the video version on YouTube, please like this episode, leave a comment, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell so you're the first to know when a brand new video drops. Also, please follow True Avatars, a queer video game podcast, on social media. Their accounts on Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Facebook, and TikTok, which again, the TikTok is completely dead. I don't know why I keep advertising it, at True Avatars. And you can also find the podcast on the official website, trueavatarspodcast.com, no spaces. And remember, this is a weekly queer video game podcast, so check in every week. I'm going to bring you news, interviews, and updated discussions that are relevant to queer gamers. So you have a safe space to check in on the world of gaming from a 2S LGBTQIA+ lens. Oh, okay, I can breathe now. All right, let's talk about what we've been playing. Yeah, she did.
Puppy approved.
I don't know if the filter's going to take her out, but yeah, my dog did bark in the middle of that. I think she heard a neighbor exist. So, Lloyd, what have you been playing? Obviously, do you want to start with the big game that we're going to talk about, or have you been playing other stuff that you want to talk about first?
I'll do like a quick check in on what I've been playing, but then
I did get some feedback from someone. Sorry, I was just going to say, one piece of feedback I got on the podcast is that people seem to really like the What We've Been Playing segment. So don't feel pressure to get through it quickly. Just talk about what you've been playing. Yeah, sorry to do this kind of on air. I haven't actually had a moment to kind of tell everyone this, but anyway, sorry to cut you off there, but yeah, feel free to talk about what you've been playing.
No, it's good to know that people care, but no, I've been playing. I've actually Ekami introduced this game to me. Beloved Rapture. I get the name backwards. One sec, let me make sure I get the right name. Yep, Beloved Rapture. It's this JRPG style game. Really beautiful. It's like really cozy visually, and like just the music really brings back like classic JRPG games, and that's basically what I got into when I first started playing games. And what's really cool about it is confirmed LGBTQ. There is stuff going on, and yes, I know, right? Like, come on. And what's really cool is I'm far enough in, like, no spoilers, but I'm far enough in that I've been playing for over 11 hours, and I haven't quite fully clocked where the relationship is. There's a few like personal things going on, and it feels very organic. All the ways all the characters are interacting, with the story's progressing. It's very high fantasy is the like setting, naturally classic JRPG vibes. But it's lovely. It has difficulty options, which I love for like any game that loads up with difficulty options. I'm immediately locked in. Like for me, that's an accessibility option that I think is
100%
kind of necessary. Like, some games don't need it, right? If it's a puzzle game, like there's certain things that obviously difficulty.
No, puzzle games need the difficulty option for me, please. Thank you.
I'm picturing like it just like it brings a line to where you're supposed to go through the maze is the difficulty option for the puzzle.
Where do I put the Tetris block? Please just do it for me. No, I'm kidding.
It's like a little shadow piece going down. But for this one, I was feeling spicy. I was feeling, there was a story mode and I forget what they call the harder mode, but it's two different options. And I was like, you know what? I've played video games for a couple decades. I can try this. I can try it. And really, like, off the bat, very difficult. Difficult in the way you're using your potions. You're using your and I'm the kind of player that will loot everything, will check everything for drops, and will hold on to it forever. Especially if, especially items that are like increases your attack for 3 turns or permanently increases your stats like your health or your mana. Those I historically hold on to forever because there's always going to be a better time is usually how I play these games. Right. This game, you're kind of forced, especially with the difficulty I picked, you're kind of forced to use all of your resources. And at first that was terrifying. But it kind of like, as time was passing and I was going through the game and like moving around these, resources and allocating points and things, I was feeling so accomplished. I was like, yeah, this is hard. Like these bosses are hitting for like 70% of my health, but like I can do this. And it's really neat. So far the difficulty increase as you're going through the chapters has felt exponential in a way that's manageable. It hasn't gotten boring for me yet. It hasn't gotten too difficult, but it's definitely gotten harder. So I love it.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. No, RPGs for me, when there's like any video game, when there's a difficulty spike, I don't like that. I like it when it's gradual, and I do like it to be consistent though. Like keep getting harder, please. Cause like when a game either plateaus or suddenly gets easier after a certain point, the only thing with JRPGs is I know how to game the system. And I played a lot of Pokemon, so it's not really necessary to game Pokemon this way, but you can like I don't know if you can do that in this game, but in most JRPGs, you can just go sit in like whatever patch of grass you want or whatever part of the overworld and just farm farm XP against enemies for hours and hours and hours. And for me, that's both relaxing because it's kind of mindless. So I can kind of multitask with something else, like listen to something or watch a show or whatever, and just like level up. And then it has the added feature, the added bonus of that. Like when I finally get to the boss, I can like just crush the boss. Like if especially if I know a hard boss is coming up or something like that. When I'm playing a new game or a new game franchise, if there's like the kind of game where there's a guidebook online, like a guide, I might like have it open just in case. Even if I never use it, it keeps my stress levels down. I'm like, okay, I know it's there, right? Like if I get stuck or I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing. Another feature that would be really helpful in terms of difficulty is that when I jump out of a game for a long time and then come back to it, I wish there was like you haven't been here in a while. Here's the controls.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like, not just like the buttons, but like, here's a quick reminder of how to play the game. Or at least give me the menu, something in a menu that like gives me a how to play. Like, I know a lot of Nintendo games have that, especially Sakurai games, but, with JRPGs though, generally I don't need that. Thankfully, JRPGs are the most accessible for me in terms approachable for me, I guess, in terms of my brain. Playing them, like I'm always like, okay, there's a comfort level of like, it's a JRPG. Like even if it's different, it's still a JRPG. So.
Yeah. It's really funny you mentioned farming because same for me, like Legend of Dragoon or anything like a classic in my repertoire. Like you can sit in one spot if you're like, hey, I didn't do great with that boss. Let me go spend an hour, you know. There's no farming in this game. Once you kill enemies, they're gone. And I find there's a few interactions that you can regenerate them in a few rooms, but it's not like universal. Once you kill the enemy, it's not on the map anymore. And it gives you a lot of agency because there's plenty of ways for you to maneuver around certain enemies. So you could just blitz through it if you wanted to. Personally, I would see it as like lost XP because enemies don't respawn. So I'm personally clearing out every room if I've got the resources and I'm not hurting. But when you said that about camping, I was like, oh, I don't know if it's part of the difficulty, right? Maybe the lower one does let you farm. But for my experience, no. But
yeah, I mean that's fair. There are games where and then I think about Undertale where I went into that with a JRPG mindset, and immediately as soon as I got 3/4 into that game, I was like, I think I messed up. Like I think I wasn't supposed to go running through this like a classic JRPG. I think I did not understand the assignment here. Because I didn't really look anything up about the game before, because I was trying this thing where it's like, well, it's free, it's on Game Pass, or at least it's included, not free, but I'm just going to go into this, because people have said, like, it's better to know less than more, but also, like, I wish I had known just a little bit of context going into it, because somehow I'd missed it from the zeitgeist, so.
I haven't played it. I've seen, like, one or two, like, partial playthroughs, but I haven't played it, so.
It's interesting. Because of that experience, I wasn't as big on it. That doesn't mean I don't respect what it does. That doesn't mean I don't like it. I'm still going to play Deltarune when the 18,000 chapters they're making are out, but, it's definitely very different. It's from the ilks of like, Mother, like Earthbound. There's another game, came out in like 2009 or something like that. I want to say it's called like Ilk or Elm or something. It's like a very short word. You play as, I think you're like a baseball player and you're hitting baseballs or something. I can't remember what it's called. Unfortunately, if someone does know, let me know down in the comments. It's called Off. Is it called Off?
Off.
And so Off and, Earthbound and what's the other one that, it's on my, this one I can get the name of. It's on my Nintendo wish list because I've been waiting for a price drop on it. And then every time there's a price drop, I don't have time to play it.
I feel that so much.
Yeah. But I used to buy things emails even when they were on. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just saying, I get emails all the time. This item on your wish list is on sale. And I'm like, I know. It always is. Something always is.
Something always is. The thing I was doing though was when it was hitting a price that was low enough for me to pay, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna have time to play this, but I'll buy it now. So that way when I want to play it, at least I'll have comfort knowing it's there and I got it for a good price. But at a certain point, I kept building up games that way. Just cheaper digital games. But like eventually it was like, again, I'm not going to reveal this number on this podcast ever because I'm embarrassed and ashamed. But it's not a number I'm proud of. So anyway, the game I was going to tell you about though on my wish list is called Moon. So Off, Moon, and Earthbound, like the Mother series, all inspired Undertale. So it helps to know what those games are kind of about if you're not going to play them beforehand, before going into Undertale. And they recently, the people who made Moon actually they made that game in the 90s, but they just made a brand new game that came out late last year called Stray Children, which is a very similar concept. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry to derail your JRPG chat there, but.
Huh? No, that's what I've been up to. Besides for Celeste, what have you been playing?
Oh, I've been, again, I kind of joked about this with the dev who made it, Adrian, on Blue Sky, but I've been playing through In Stars in Time. And that's one of those games where I'm like, I'm not having any trouble with it. Really? Like occasionally I won't heal between a couple of enemies and I'll get like a character knocked out, but then I'll still get through the battle. But Lloyd, do you remember? I guess I'll explain what In Stars in Time is about.
Yeah, please do.
So it's this black and white JRPG style game. And in it and it's top down, it's pixel art, like it's very like a classic style JRPG. And you're a party of 5 members who, are basically going into the last dungeon to fight the last boss. You're at the castle. You're going to go fight I think he's called I want to say the Ice King. I honestly forget. He's the king though. And he's frozen everybody in time. Like literally almost everyone in the planet has been frozen in time. And so you and these party members, and they're all queer. They're all some flavor of queer.
Oh, good. Good.
You know, they're at the game starts at the last dungeon. You're heading in. You've got pretty good stats, but obviously they're not perfect. You can't one shot everything as you go through, but you're not level 1. You're not starting at the beginning of the quest, right? So there's like lots of dialogue happening to explain kind of how you got here and what's going on. And, every time you die in the game, you actually loop back to the start of the dungeon like you would in a normal JRPG, but it's part of the story. Like it's a Groundhog Day time loop style game as well.
Oh, okay.
And what's kind of interesting about it, it's a little confusing lore wise, but it's a little interesting, like from a gameplay perspective, is that like sometimes you'll die and this voice will come on and say, okay, obviously, and they don't say the quiet part out loud, but they kind of like imply that like, okay, you obviously don't want to do this all again. So like your stats are going to carry over as long as you have like this item equipped or something like that. So that way you don't have to keep like, you know, running through the same dialogue trees every time and fighting the same enemies and doing the same things. Like there's like, you start figuring out where there's little shortcuts you can take to kind of get through the earlier parts of the dungeon you already went through really quickly while still keeping the story going. And I'm not very far into it currently. I was still like, I joked I've been pecking away at it, but it's really, really sweet. It's really, really fun. And again, all the characters are really, really interesting and funny and just fun to read their dialogue trees and stuff like that. So, and a cool accessibility feature, speaking of accessibility, is that when talking to someone that you've already spoken to in the same place you've spoken to them, like I say, you've already had a conversation with one of your friends in the party, the same conversation, and you get like a dialogue option. You get a bunch of dialogue options. If you've already explored certain dialogue options, they gray them out. You can still select them and reread them, but it will keep the new ones or ones you haven't tried yet highlighted, which is really, really nice because
I like that.
I'll go a little while between playing the game because I'm just so busy to play any games. And I'll be like, I don't really remember this conversation. So it's good. But then as soon as I start like rejigging my memory and I go through a couple of the options, I'll get to the third option that's great at. And I'll be like, okay, I kind of know what this is already. I know I did this before. And my memories kind of refresh and then I kind of get back into the gameplay of it. And what's cool about the gameplay too is like, it's literally rock, paper, scissors. It's not like Pokemon rock, paper, scissors where you use it to explain. It's literally rock, paper, scissors. And every character has like a power, like this character uses rock. This character uses scissors. This character uses paper. This character uses all three. And then when you're fighting an enemy, obviously you have to, they say, look at their hands, right? Because the enemy will be like drawn there and then like their hand will be on the ground like this, or so they'll be like this, or they'll be like this. Right? And then you'll go, okay, they're making like a scissors symbol with their hands. So I guess I gotta hit them with a rock attack. So yeah. And the battle strategy is actually really fun. It's it's simple, but it's complex in the same time. Like they're like, even though it's simple, there's still a lot of strategy to it. And it's not that simple. Like I feel like calling it simple almost feels like an insult, but I don't mean that in the way. Is that it's really simple to pick up, but I guess it's a little, it's fun to master. It's fun to master. It's not impossible to master, but like, you'll be like, okay, the character that's going to go first is the main character, but this character is going to use paper against the scissors character. Oh, but this character also has an attack that gives their turn to the next character who you can use, but what did I say the example was? Scissors? So you can send it to the rock person. Right? You can give your turn away and they get a stat boost too, and then you can like one shot the enemy if you're powered up enough. Anyway, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
That's it's reminding me of was it in one of the Arcade Spirits games? The New Challengers maybe. There's one of the games where the like kind of like the in-game game that you play as professional sports players.
Right.
The whole game's about like the relationships you're building with people, but like the in-game game that everyone's playing is this sort of like Mortal Kombat-esque, Street Fighter-esque game, but it's kind of rock, paper, scissors-y. I don't know if that's just because rock, paper, scissors is sort of a very balanced type of gameplay where it's, you know, one beats the other beats the other, beats the first one. But that's kind of reminding me of it a little bit. But that sounds really cool.
Yeah, I think it's a good starting point for JRPGs. The other one I can think of that I have played is the Monster Hunter Story series. Doesn't use rock, paper, scissors, but they only use 3 types of attacks. So it's very easy to understand, okay, this type beats this type beats this type, because even when in Pokemon does it too, right? You get your grass starter, you get your fire starter, you get your water starter. And even though there's like 15 other types, you know from those first 3, you're like, okay, well obviously, and it's very easy to understand, like obviously water puts out fire. Fire burns grass. So I guess grass must be super effective against water type. That part is a little strange, like in real life logic, but you understand, like you get a quick grasp of how battling works. And I think that's probably why a lot of games use it. And I actually think it's really clever because it very quickly tells people how the game is played. Even if you add new elements on top of that, everyone understands, oh, well, and especially for In Stars in Time, like when I jump into it, I could forget everything else about the game, but I know, okay, this character uses a rock attack. The enemy is scissors. Like I don't have to go into a menu and see how do I play this game to understand how to battle in that game. Whereas, like, I feel like if I was out of Final Fantasy for a little while, I might have to do that still. Because Final Fantasy is a little more complex in some of its battle logic. It's still understandable, but it might take me a couple extra seconds, whereas in Stars in Time, I can just jump in and at least understand the battle system, even if I've forgotten everything else, which I haven't, but if I did. So,
cool.
I've forgotten some things, but not all things. Yeah. All right. Do you want to talk about Celeste?
Yes, let's. Oh my gosh, Zoe.
Before we jump into it, I do want to know how far you are, because there's more story in this game than I thought, and I don't want to spoil it if you're not as far as I am, or if you're farther than me. I don't want spoilers either.
So what's really funny is I'm not far enough, because not that I didn't realize there's story, but I've been jumping around long enough. I didn't think there was a story. I was like, I'm just on this mountain forever by myself in my thoughts, sick. So either I'm right before a story, or we're just having that much of a hard time.
Right. Well, so there's the prologue at the start where it kind of teaches you the gameplay mechanics, and you figure out, okay, she's climbing a mountain. She's got to do it. That's basically all you know. And then I don't remember what the first part of the game is. I think it's just like the first chapter is just like the start of the mountain. And then there's, so it sounds like did you at least get to the part where you can like choose your level after the prologue? It's okay if you haven't. I'm not going to judge. I just want to know where you are, because I really don't want to spoil it for you.
No, I don't think I've been picking anything. To be fair, I've been playing for like 20, 30 minutes, I think is how much I've played. I've met this like granny lady who laughed at us and said if jumping from the road was hard, then the mountain's going to be harder. And I've played maybe like 15 minutes past that, but no, I haven't gotten to any like leveling. Okay. So it sounds like you're still in the prologue. Now I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you. I was going to jokingly judge you, but I think that's still mean, so I won't do it. But so it sounds like you're having trouble with the difficulty a little bit. If you're still on, I mean, you only play for half an hour, and I think that's pretty normal for the prologue. Like, I think I've spent probably 2.5 to 3 hours getting almost to the end of the 3rd chapter. So basically 4 levels. Because there's the prologue, there's chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3 is another location up the mountain. It's not just mountains. Don't worry, it's not just mountains. I thought it was going to be all mountains. I thought there was going to be no story. There is story, but... I feel like I'm right before something then, because I got to a point where I was like, oh, cool. Like, I looked through menus and I was like, there's no objective. I go up, there's more. I go over here, there's more. Okay. Like, for context, for anyone who hasn't seen like us talking about this before, and our apprehension for playing Celeste, platformers is not what I'm good at. My hands don't listen to me. Things are difficult here. but
Same for me, especially 2D platformers. 3D platformers, for some reason, even when they're difficult, I'm like, it doesn't bother me that they're difficult. I'm just going to keep trying. Something about 3D platformers and having a little bit more freedom in how I move. 2D platformers always bothered me. And so I was really scared because Celeste is very difficult. Like, it's supposed to be one of the most difficult games ever. In terms of 2D platformers. Also, I've just never been a fan of 2D platformers. I like, puzzle platformers like Inside, but mainly because, like, again, the puzzle element is much more interesting to me than, like, the, like, mechanic element of, like, okay, you gotta hit this jump or you gotta hit this. Like, Inside is like, you gotta hit this jump, but there's a reason because you gotta go back and, anyway.
No,
but
that's a really good,
I actually really,
yeah.
no, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just before we like go back into Celeste. It's a really good point because the only other game that I really really liked that was similar to this was Super Cable Boy, and you play as like this really cute, kind of look like a Game Boy Color, kind of is what you look like a non-brand Game Boy Color looking thing, and as you go through and you're like jumping through things and collecting onigiris, the collectible in the game,
Nice.
you do get different upgrades and different level ups, and the puzzle changes depending on like what you have access to, and you can redo old levels once you get better abilities. And so like a little more interactability and a little more mechanic than just jumping is kind of what I need sometimes.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought I would hate Celeste. Like, I thought I would be lowering the difficulty immediately or going so much slower, but actually, and especially too, like, it's not one of those games where I'm like, okay, I'm going to force myself to play 20 minutes and I'm going to stop. Like, as soon as I'm back into it, first off, I love it. Second off, like, once I'm into it, I'm into it. And actually, I'm not criticizing the story elements, but I almost wish the story elements didn't get so much in the way. It's not that they're in the way, but I just want to keep jumping. I just want to keep jumping and figuring this out and getting better at things. And every time I come to something hard, I'm like, okay, is this the level I give up on? I'm going to give this a try a few times. And within a few tries, I'm like, okay, now I'm stubborn. I'm finishing this room. And then you get to the end of the room and you're like, okay, I made it. I'm going to turn the game off. And you get to the next, you look at the next room and you're like, oh, I can do this. And then you can't. And then you keep trying. And I'm just like, and then I've been playing for like 2 hours. The first time I played for 2 hours. I got to the end of chapter 2 and I was like, it was just supposed to be a cozy Sunday morning. I think that was before we were going to record that first time as well that you didn't make it. But that's why I was playing Sunday morning. And I was like, well, I got to play Celeste because we're going to talk about it. I got to play at least this for half an hour. I was going to do exactly what you said. Play half an hour, give up, cry, and then pretend I enjoyed it. But I actually did enjoy it.
Oh my gosh, you got all my patience, you got all my like you got everything. I'm so happy for you. Someone needed this. And then like
yeah, but really, I see why people love this game. I understand now. Like, I'm like, okay, like, and I keep getting harder and harder, and I keep making it through obstacle after obstacle, and I'm like, oh, I can do this. And part of me wonders is like, well, I transition. Of course I can do this. Yeah, it's easy.
It's made for you. It's just like what's really funny is while you were talking, I wrote down difficulty ? Underlined it Celeste so that later I can look because I don't remember seeing a difficulty option. So I may. Did you just? Huh?
I didn't see a difficulty option either. I didn't look very hard for it, but it didn't prompt me when I started to choose a difficulty. I'm just using whatever the default is. So I don't know I don't even know if there's a harder difficulty than what I'm on. I don't know how they change the difficulty. I know there's an assist mode. But I don't know. I feel like I heard someone say there were multiple difficulty levels, but I guess the assist mode is like, I don't even know what the assist mode is. To be honest, I'm scared to at least even try it just to see it. Cause if it makes it too easy, I might use it. And I don't want to use it because I'm actually enjoying the challenge. Because, like, a lot of times I'll play a video game and make it as easy as possible because I don't have the patience or the time, stress levels. Like, I'm just like, but this time I'm like, this is scratching my brain like the itch in my brain in a really good way. And to be honest, it doesn't make me like other 2D platformers. Like, I know this is sacrilegious. I still hate 2D Mario. I know 2D Mario is the reason these games exist, and I respect it for that. I do not enjoy playing 2D Mario. 3D Mario, keep them coming. Where's Odyssey 7, Nintendo? Just keep them coming. But 2D Mario, like, Mario Wonder is getting DLC? Who cares? You know? Talked about it on the podcast because it's like queer, but other than that, you know? Sorry?
That's so funny. Yeah, no, my experience was the first time I fell, and the first time I saw that death counter, I went through I went through so much. I was like, I can't fucking do this. So, like, can I turn this off? I was like looking everywhere. I was like, I don't want to see this number. This number is going to keep getting bigger forever. They're going to run out of digits. And like,
my death count is very high. I keep dying and I keep messing up. And every time I die, I just try again. The only thing I don't like is that they tell you at the end of each level, they're like, you died 700 times. And I'm like, okay, great. And then, sorry, that was a creepy smile. I'm very sorry to my audience. But also, last night when I was playing again, because I was like, well, we're going to record today. Maybe I'll play a little bit more to refresh myself. And I sat there for an hour. And I was like, oh, right. I liked this. It's not one of those things that gives me anxiety before I play it. I'm like into it. But there's like a little loading screen that said like, the death count is there to like help you keep trying or something like no matter, don't worry about the death count. It's there like, dying means you're learning. That's what it said. Dying means you're learning. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to see that I died 200 times at the end of the level. It makes me feel like I'm bad at the game. Why? It should be optional to be able to see your death count. I'm sorry. Like, that should be like, do you want to see this or do you not want to see this? Maybe you could turn it off in the settings and I just don't know. But like, I'm just like, no, thanks. I don't need to know that information.
I just went through
I know I died 700 times. I don't. Sorry.
I went through a whole journey when you were talking about that motivational line, and it reminded me of like if I do a tarot card reading and I don't like the advice I'm being given, it's like I know this already. Like I just, of course, like I need to grow from failure. Like, so it's a good thing. It's a good thing. I get mad when I get good advice. But no, what made me extra mad about that first death was, this isn't a spoiler, it's 30 seconds in the game, but you're running and it's very clear you're not kidding. Okay. It's very obvious you're not going to make the first jump that ever happens. Like you're looking at it, it's just logistically not possible when you get to this point. It's not the first jump, my bad. It's the first, like, it's after you figure out that you press a button and you go up. So it's after a few safe jumps and then there's a long one. You're like, that's not going to happen. But there's extenuating circumstances that make it so you have to run and try at least. And so I said, sure, fine. And I didn't make it and I died. And I was like, buddy. And so I tried it again. And it's like, I knew it. You knew it. This is the worst. I signed up for a whole playthrough of this to talk about it on the podcast. Great.
You can opt out when you need to.
And so again, I got past it. I got past this. So I did it again. And I shit you not, I wish I was recording it. And actually I don't. I'm glad I'm not streaming this because it would be very difficult for me to do. But I swear I was 1 pixel off from the prompt where it tells you how to finish the long jump. Like my character icon, you have to get to a certain distance across this chasm for it to go, oh yeah, do this one other thing and you'll make it. I swear my character fell short like 1 pixel before that prompt. And I was just like, oh, this is good. This is what the whole thing's going to be. This is the whole thing. But,
well, once they give you the mechanics, that's it. They don't change them as far as I know. Far as there's no new mechanics yet, but.
But what's funny is hearing you talk about it and that there's chapters and stuff, I think what happened was as soon as I got a little bit further and I came to the incorrect realization that this was the game, I could explore the mountain and I had to collect these collectibles and that's the whole game. I slowed right down and instead of trying to leave the room, I tried collecting all of the collectibles. Is it a heart? I can't remember right now off the top of my head. Strawberry, that's what it is. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, this is the game. I can't just like blitz through this. So let me get these strawberries. And for anyone who hasn't played Celeste, I'm sure almost the last 2 people on the planet, but for anyone who hasn't, they put these collectibles in not ideal locations. They're meant to be difficult. And you have to survive the room to keep the collectible. Naturally, you can't just like jump to get it and be like, I hit it, I touched it, it's in my pocket forever. No, you gotta get out of the room safely. So I think I probably could have finished this like prologue if I thought there was more content. You know what I mean? So I might,
yeah.
When I play it next, I'll feel it out. But now that I know that there's more, there's some hope here. There's some hope.
Yeah. I don't know why she's climbing the mountain. She just keeps saying she has to do it, but there's like story stuff. There's people she meets on the mountain, stuff like that. Cool. The locations are not just more mountain. There's points of interest and that's what each chapter is. Now I said there's no new mechanics. I lied about the mechanics, but like in terms of like the buttons you get, you can jump, you can cling, you can climb up the wall, and you can dash. That's all they give you. But there's mechanics that make use of those powers that are things. Like there's like, I won't spoil, to be honest, I won't spoil it. You'll figure it out and you'll get there. I do go back for some strawberries. Sometimes I'll see one and I'll be like, oh, maybe I can get that. And then I can't. I'm like, I'm going to keep trying. Usually I give up on them, but occasionally I get one and I feel really good. I'm like, today's going to be a good day. And then I'm like, and then I get the confidence after getting out that one, and I'll go to the next one. I'll be like, okay, we're gonna try this one. I got the last one. And the next one is like so difficult. I'm like, nope, I'm bad at game. So
I'm bad at game. I'm just gonna walk away and do what I was supposed to do. No, and it's really funny because the first time there was a sliding platform, I was like, I know what you are. There's gonna be spikes over there, so I'm gonna be safe about this. So I jumped on it, and it thwapped me off to the side, and I did one thing correct, and then immediately died to something else, and I was like, sick, okay, great.
There's a lot more of that where like you're like, okay, there's like 8 challenging things in here, but your brain is only focused on the first challenging thing. So you complete the first challenging thing, and then you get obliterated by the second, and you're like, it's okay. Got the first one. Like that little victory keeps you going, but only barely.
Question for you. Are you playing mouse and keyboard, or are you playing controller? I don't know if it's compatible.
No, I'm playing on my Nintendo Switch, with my, like, just handheld with the Joy-Con. Well, I'm on the Switch too, but yeah. Yeah,
I should probably figure out a controller situation, because I think I'm harming myself with trying to use the arrow keys instead of like an analog stick. I think I'm playing on the hardest mode possible.
And yeah, it seems like the kind of game too that you would want a D-pad for, but you can go in like multiple different, like, I think you can go in like, I don't know how many exact precise directions you can go in, but I think you can at least go in like all 8 directions, maybe even like 16. I'm not sure. I don't direction well, but
might have been hallucinating by this point. But I feel like the directionality and the physics behind your character moving is the most precise I've ever seen in a platformer. If I feel like the momentum you approach the jump with, paired with which directionality you put in, and then while you're in the air, the directionality you choose at what time, at the apex of the jump, or maybe not. You can get a completely different jump with like very minor adjustments to your button input. And that's frustrating. I know it's good. I know like mechanically it's cool, whatever.
It's frustrating because you're used to other 2D platformers where you have to like not overshoot things. Like when you're playing Mario does a little bit of running to stop after you land. So as soon as Mario lands, or right before Mario lands the jump, at least when I play, I'm trying to course correct him back onto the platform. When I do that in Celeste, I die instantly because those platforms are so tiny.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. And one thing I was realizing was I would like kept thinking to myself, I was like, wow, this is telling me a lot about myself as a person. Like I was like, I hate doing things I'm bad at. And I was like, damn, I gotta outgrow that.
See, I learned I have the patience for a hard game like that, but I still don't want to play Dark Souls. All right, but we're going to check in on this game quite a bit I'm sure throughout the year as we kind of go through it. I'm going to try not to speed through too much ahead of you, but I'm really enjoying it, so I can't promise that I won't finish the game before you. But I have so much to play as well, so if you're like, Zoe, you're moving too quickly, I'll be like, all right, going back to other games then. if anyone listened to the podcast last year and heard all the games I said, I played 7 hours of this for the purpose of talking about it. I never played past 7 hours, so I have lots to play. So we're going to check back in on this, but shall we jump into the news?
Yes.
All right, Lloyd. So there was one really big headline this week. I was so excited when they announced that there was going to be a Tomodachi Life Nintendo Direct this week for the new game for Nintendo Switch. Now, before I talk about this, again, I'm not judging you. I know we're both very busy people. Did you get a chance to watch the Tomodachi Life Direct, or at least read any about the highlights?
I've read like the 2 really important queer related updates, but no, I didn't watch it live.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I'm going to take us through what I thought was the most interesting, most poignant, most important parts of it. So anyone who has never played Tomodachi Life before, I haven't either, but I know enough about it, is like, it's basically a me life sim game. It's a little bit like Animal Crossing where you get an island, but instead of meeting villagers, you're creating you're like adding Miis to the game. You can make Miis of yourself. You can make Miis of your friends. You can make Miis of celebrities. You can make Miis of whoever you want. I think you can download other people's Miis as well. I'm not sure if you can do that in this game, but you could in the 3DS one. There is also something they didn't talk about in this direct. It's called Living the Dream. And there's going to be like a dream element where you like your Mii's dream about other Mii's and silly things, like really weird things happen. Like this is a game full of weird situations. Like if I put myself and Barack Obama into the game and I come back in to check in on the characters, I might be trying to marry Barack Obama. Like that's what, like, I think I heard that story from someone else in a different podcast. It was like, that's how that happened when they were playing the 3DS game. So that's just, anyway, that's just an example. I'm going to add all the true avatars to my copy of the game when I get it. So they can do weird stuff. With everyone's consent, of course. I won't just add you, and I'll make sure you can improve your Mii, so it's not like I'm not accentuating a detail you don't like. But anyway, a point being here is that they aired a whole 20-minute Nintendo Direct talking just about this game, and I was excited because I was like, well, I finally get to know when it's coming out. When are we going to play it? It's coming out 2 weeks sooner than I predicted, on April 16th. I thought it was going to be April 30th, which means Nintendo has a game every 3 weeks, starting in February. Starting with Mario Tennis Fever. There's Mario Tennis Fever, there's Pokopia, there's Super Mario Bros. Wonder DLC, and then there's 3 weeks after that, there is Tomodachi Life. So I think 3-4 weeks after that is probably going to be Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. Then we're going to go into Splatoon. Then we're going to probably go into Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. I think it's going to be a packed year for Nintendo games, which means they've probably got a big fall planned as well, which is really exciting. Otherwise, they wouldn't be rushing these games out quite so close together. Anyway, Tomodachi Life. This is if you've played the original Tomodachi Life, this is more of the same, in a good way. This is like exactly what you want. Now, back about 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, when the last one came out, there was a bug that let your Mii's gay marry each other. There were same-sex relationships allowed in the game. It was a bug. Nintendo, in fixing something else, I think they patched it out, and people were upset. People were like, Nintendo, why are you being homophobic? Why did you remove this? Nintendo said, we didn't mean to, but it is required. We do have to patch it out for other reasons. But we'll get you next time, pal. We'll put gay marriage in next time. And I thought, if gay marriage is in this, if there's any queerness in this game, they are not going to talk about it in the direct. They do not want the heat from the internet on this. Well, not only did they confirm all the queerness you could want in this game, I mean, not all of it. They're a little bit lacking, but for a video game that didn't have it before, it's really, really good. Trust me, we're going to get to it. Not only did they confirm it, but they did it right off the bat. It was like the first thing they revealed. I screamed and I cried. I should have recorded myself, actually. I screamed and then I started like tearing up. I was like, anyway, it was really exciting. So, first off, when you create your Mii, you can have 3 genders. And it's not male, female, other. It's male, female, and non-binary. They spelled non-binary wrong. There's no dash in there, but it's still in there. Your characters are non-binary. You can have non-binary Mii's. You can have non-binary Mii's. I don't even know, like, what? And people are really happy about this too. Like, the people that are complaining about this are getting severely outshouted by the whole entirety of the internet. The Tumblr crowd showed up and said, we are happy about this. And,
Yep.
oh yeah, anyway, everyone's happy about this. This is amazing. This is so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not only are there 3 gender options though, but there are gay relationships. So, when you are selecting who your character can be attracted to, you can select male or female or non-binary or none or any of those above 3. You can't like none plus all 3, but you can do male, female, and non-binary. You can be bisexual. You can be pan. You can be asexual. You can be I don't think they have sex, so technically it's aromantic, but aro-ace cool representation, like, it is so cool, right? Yeah. Nintendo really did. Nintendo fulfilled their promise. Nintendo actually listened and gave fans what they wanted. And I'm like, shocked. But also I'm not that surprised because they insisted on having Vivian back in Paper Mario. And they could have just easily made Vivian not trans in the remake. But Nintendo is here. Like, Nintendo is showing up with Nintendo Japan is very queer inclusive. Nintendo of America, not so much. They don't really talk about that. But Nintendo of Japan is like, here for its customers and its employees, because they have they support their employees. They recognize, on healthcare plans, they will let if you're not married and in a queer relationship, they'll still cover your spouse on the healthcare plan in Japan. And so Nintendo isn't just like, anyway, it's such a terrible world out there right now that I'm so happy they're doing this. Anyway, sorry, Lloyd. I've been kind of steamrolling over you. What have you got to say?
No, I love that. And like you pointed out, it's not just male, female, other, right? They had an intentionality behind using non-binary, and that's a very deliberate choice. Like, someone typed out the name non-binary, it got approved. there was like the intention behind that. It wasn't just like, here, we'll take your gay money. Like it was, but it, like it feels intentional. And then when you kept going, I didn't know about the, you could pick none for romantic interests, for gendered romantic interests. That's so cool. That's so cool because usually, you know,
Homodachi Life is here. Sorry.
It's here. It's here. It's queer.
Rip headphone users.
No, that's awesome. That's like two very intentional arrow, like ace representation doesn't really exist. And if it does exist, it's sometimes accidental. I mean, I haven't gone out and like looked for like a huge list of games that go out of their way to include it, but this feels very intentional, and that's so cool.
Yeah. Now, Nintendo didn't use any of the words gay marriage, queer. They didn't use any of the terminology. The only terminology they actually used, first off, they said you can marry whoever you want. Like you can set the attraction level to whatever you want, and they included the word non-binary. That's as far as they went in terms of using the language. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, the future we want is where we don't have to use that language anyway. At least that's how I would like it to be. It's like, I don't have to say like it's a queer relationship. It's just a relationship. Who cares who the two people are in it or the multiple people? Now, I don't think there's polyamory in the game. However, you can have you can set up your Miis to have roommates, or they can live together. And I'm wondering if you live with like like you can kind of like almost role play it in a way that like, okay, if these characters are roommates, like all of these characters, like 8 people, you can have a polycule that way.
Oh,
you
cool.
might have to headcanon it a little bit, but at least like, yeah, I mean, a lot of cis het people view polyamory as polygamy still. Like if I bring up multiple partners to my mom, she has this look of horror on her face. You know, she's like picturing like really old pastors that have like 18 wives that are all under the age of 20, you know, like which is not really what polyamory is about. So
yeah, and poly is in a unique sort of corner of the world because there can be, you know, like straight het interactions in poly, and you know, there's some queer communities who have some trouble with accepting poly. So poly's one that it's a tough one. It's a tough one to get representation in, and to get one that makes everyone happy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe Nintendo sees the queer, not representation, but like the queer response to this news. And again, maybe they can't go back to the start of development again and add new stuff in, but maybe the Switch 2 Tomodachi Life is going to have, you know, because it's compatible with Switch 2, but there's no Switch 2 version, there's no Switch 2 patch. It's a Switch 1 game that just runs on Switch 2, which is fine. I was hoping there'd be a Switch 2 edition, but that's okay. Maybe they are going to do a Switch 2, the brand new Tomodachi Life down the road. And if this game does even better than the last one sold really well, if this one sells even better and they keep it up, maybe the next game does have polycules. Maybe the next game does have more language. Maybe the next game has custom gender options where you're like, okay, you know, you can set pronouns and stuff like that. You know, and Nintendo and even in the presentation, they kept using they, them pronouns for the character. I was impressed. I was really impressed. I was like, they really could have just done the bare minimum and quietly confirmed gay relationships a couple of days before the game came out. You know, say like, and they could have just had male and female. You know, they didn't have to go this hard. And to be honest, I think 5-6 years ago, I might have said this is the bare minimum. With the way I thought queer representation was starting to head in media. But in 2026, this is like the cream of the crop. You know, and I'm not saying that is like, it's bad and we're setting our bars low, because our bar is low, but like, I'm really impressed. I'm really, really impressed. I'm really, really excited. I was already going to throw the $100 at this game, but now I'm really excited to throw $100 at this game and pick this up on launch. And also it's just a weird game. Like you can set your voice to have, you can make trans characters too. I mean, you can't make them trans like explicitly, but you can give your female character a deep voice. You can give your male character a more feminine voice. You can kind of do whatever you want. It's kind of like, it's like the Nintendo Life Sim version of Cyberpunk in terms of character creation. Which is really cool. And yeah, so you can like, the Miis talk to each other. I'm just kind of like going through my notes here. You can choose topics for the characters to talk about. Like they use the example in the directive monster trucks, and two Miis start talking about monster trucks, and it's just kind of like, well, what else is programmed into this game? That's just kind of like, is it AI? Like, they didn't say that. I don't know for sure. But I think given that the last game had stuff like this too, maybe it's just the way Nintendo's developed the game. But, yeah, like it's very customizable. You can have your Miis have favorite things, not, dislike, they can have dislikes. I think they have to discover a lot of those too. You can't just like set them up. You have to feed them some chicken and they go, I don't like this. And you're like, okay, well, you dislike chicken then. So, there's news stories, like there's the Mii News Network. Miis can have babies together. So if two characters fall in love, then there's like a little baby Mii that they have. So if I did want to marry, I don't know, let's say I wanted to put Justin Trudeau in the game, our ex-prime minister, and my Mii was in the game. My Mii could marry him, and then they could have babies. I don't want to marry Justin Trudeau, to be clear. I think he's weird, but you could do it. And I'm gonna put all kinds of weird celebrities and people from my life into this game and see all the weird ways that they interact. So
I'm very curious about the whole having babies together element. What they allow, like if they're going to gender lock pregnancy, or like how that manifests. Yeah, I'm really interested to see where that goes.
I think what they call it, okay, I read this, I don't remember which tweet this was, or which Skeet or Blue Sky tweet or whatever. Someone was saying that like they don't have sex, they have mitosis. Like mitosis. So they just like, it's like Pokemon, we're like, we don't know how it got there, but a baby appeared.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
So maybe that's a good way of also explaining too, like, okay, like two women can't procreate by themselves, but like, if a baby shows up, it was either mitosis or they adopted maybe somewhere. Like, it's not really explained, but I don't see why if they have that weird, ethereal, they don't have sex thing, then maybe they can just like, non-binary people can not have sex, but can have babies with other non-binary people, and there's no like explanation. A woman can have a baby with a woman, a man can have a baby with a man, and it's just like, pop, here's the baby. Baby's in existence now, like, yeah. Also, I saw someone joking about this, that you can give the characters little quirks, like little things they do, little tics. And so I saw someone saying that you can also give the characters autism. And that's not a quick quirk you can specifically set, but you can give them quirks that an autistic person would have. And anyway, I just thought it was really silly and really funny, and how Nintendo has found a very smart, but also not overt way of including lots of features in the game, without making them explicitly like, hey, you can be autistic. Hey, you can be gay. So,
well, and in a way,
I think it's nice.
Yeah, in a way that also makes it better representation for me, because if there was a box for like make my Mii autistic and they picked traits, they wouldn't win. Like there's no combination of traits where that would like be okay, in my opinion. But so this way, letting you pick which traits your Mii has, you can have like your brand of autism represented, or like your certain quirks, or you can feel seen in the like individual traits instead of whatever Nintendo decided makes an autistic person autistic.
Yeah, neurodivergence gets representation through Nintendo being like, hey, your Miis can have silly personality things that are unique to them. And I say silly in an endearing way. I hope people understand that. But you can also kind of make anything you want in the game. And it's not Gen AI. It's Gen AI. It's called the little palette or something like that. It's called a store. And you go into this store and you can like make a dog and you just like draw a dog. I'm not sure how the game figures out that what you've drawn is a dog, but in the demo they showed, there was like a woman walking around with this 2D dog that was kind of bouncing around. It wasn't amazingly detailed, but like you can make a dog, you can make a TV show, you can make sweater designs, you can make tiles for the ground in this place. So much customization. Yeah. I'm so excited for this. I did not realize Nintendo, I was not familiar with your game.
They watched the podcast.
G-A-Y-M-E.
They watched the podcast. They saw you asking. They're like, you know what? These are reasonable requests. Let's rewrite the game. Mm-hmm.
All right. So Nintendo, I need you to call up the Pokemon Company because I have some less reasonable requests for Pokemon Gen 10. Yeah.
She's realized her power. She's unstoppable.
um, yeah. The only thing that kind of was a little bit of a damper on the news is that Nintendo says they're putting a limit on the image sharing. You can still take screenshots, you can still share them if you get them off your Switch the old-fashioned way, which is like putting the SD card in your computer, copying the picture off your SD card, putting it on your computer, and then uploading that image to social media. But you can't grab the images through the Switch Online app and get them directly on your phone. And I think that's Nintendo's legalese way of like avoiding any potential issues that come from the game. Like if someone makes a dick or something like that, or someone does something obscene. I don't know how much censorship the game actually has to stop you from drawing like boobs, for example. I have no idea. But like, I guess Nintendo doesn't want, like I did in the previous game, I don't know if this game has it, but the Miis could sing in the previous game. And I saw one video that someone posted on Reddit of someone singing about Satan and other things. I won't repeat what they were because they're really not safe, but and I think it was done tongue in cheek, or at least I hope, but it was like 30 seconds of just like all the buzzwords you could possibly think of for getting yourself banned from a website, and not like really offensive, like, but like, anyway, stuff like in the ballpark of like Satan. And anyway, so the Miis were singing that, and I think someone said like, oh, well, the reason Nintendo is doing this is because they want to avoid a situation like that from a PR perspective. And honestly, I kind of get it. If this is the trade-off we have to do, is that we have to get our stuff manually off our Switch so we can have this amazing game otherwise, I'll take it. All right. Anything, other thoughts on Homodachi Life? Living the dream? Living the big gay dream, Lloyd?
No, it looks great. I'm looking forward to seeing what cursed things are going to pop up on the internet inevitably once it gets released from the players making stuff.
Now, sorry to cut you off. I do have a question for you before we move on. You don't have a Nintendo Switch, correct?
I have a Switch 1. I have the first one.
Oh. Okay, so you could play it if you wanted to.
Oh, that's true. I've kind of like, in my brain, I've gone, yeah, I don't have a Switch 2. I can't do any of the new fun stuff. But no, that's true. This is on the, yes. I'm good.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to less good news. This comes from Game Rant. I've been complaining about Game Rant and Screen Rant a whole bunch on this podcast because I think their articles are kind of slop, but they wrote an actually interesting article. Now, granted, it might have been disproven, it might not have. The jury is still out on this, in my opinion. But Game Rant says that game devs are skipping the Game Developer Conference, will shorthand it to GDC 2026 over ICE concerns, US safety fears. Now, the Game Developer Conference is exactly what you think it is. It's a conference for game developers. I can't remember if it happens in LA or California, but it happens every March. Even Nintendo goes to these things. Like one year they had a Mario Wonder panel. Like, and game devs kind of like, they convene, they meet up. It's not E3 with announcements. It's like, just kind of like, they shoot the crap, like they shoot, they interact with each other and trying not to swear, although it probably doesn't matter. They shoot the shit. They show off presentations. They talk about how games get made. They share information with each other, in a creative and scientific way. And so because it's in the US, I guess, a lot of people don't want to go this year. So they wrote, GDC is scheduled to take place between March 9th and 13th. Oh, in San Francisco. I've got it literally written down here. If I learned how to read, I would be able to see that. I would be very upset. The upcoming edition of the annual event has been rebranded as the GDC Festival of Gaming, with organizer Informa Festivals pitching it as a broadened ecosystem-wide B2B industry gathering. Organizers say the shift is informed by community feedback and includes a simplified ticket structure aimed at making the show more accessible to smaller developers and independent studios compared to previous years, alongside a stronger emphasis on network and cross-industry connections. Hold on a second. I have to just breathe. That was a run-on sentence if I ever read one. Despite lower pass costs, GDC 26 faces attendance challenges. Multiple European and Canadian executives told MobileGamer.biz. It came from mobile. See, if I'd read the article, I would know that Game Rant didn't actually write this article. They are reducing headcount for this year's edition of the event. Then why did this come across my feed? Why did the Game Rant version? Anyway, I'm a bad journalist today, people. I'm so sorry. They are reducing the headcount for this year's edition of the event, with some even skipping the show altogether. Several cited escalating U.S. immigration enforcement and related safety concerns as one of the reasons for scaling back or canceling their attendance. Curran Games Agency founder Cassia Curran outlined 4 reasons why Canadian and European developers are reluctant to attend GDC. The reasons, and I'm not quoting here, I'm now paraphrasing the 4 reasons. San Francisco is expensive. It just is. My friend said it cost a lot of money to eat when they visited a couple of years ago. Some people are protesting the government's aggression. We're not going to get too deep into it, but obviously Trump is a thing. He exists, unfortunately. The third reason is that some people from some countries to go visit the US have to disclose their social media history to actually get in. And the fourth reason is fears of being kidnapped, injured, and or killed by ICE.
Yeah.
Yes. Very possible. So, do you have any thoughts on this before we kind of move on to the counter argument for this? Because GDC did come out with a response to this as well, but.
Oh, interesting. No, hearing this list of 4 things, I'm like, valid. Not one of these, I'm like, oh, it's just, folks from other countries, like being wary. No, that's just, this is the reality of where we're at. And, a lot of Americans, myself included, if you can boycott the United States in a capacity, I recommend it. It's, unfortunately, folks making decisions here, are money driven. So yeah, nope. This matches up with, how the US is doing right now.
That's fair. So GDC did not deny the claims. They said attendance is tracking in line with expectations.
Sorry. Just that's funny. That's funny to me.
They were saying that like there wasn't too much of like a change. She saw Ashley Corrigan, head of content for GDC, said some regions are up, some regions are down. So maybe some regions are happy to go, some aren't. I guess it remains to be seen. I'm really not sure. I think GDC is probably right. Maybe they are not seeing any, or maybe they're saving face. I don't know if there's any legal recourse for lying about the attendance numbers, but they didn't give any exact numbers.
I think, obviously I'm not super informed on San Francisco and GDC and, their numbers and everything. But I think as a PR move, the worst thing they could do is before the event is done, right now people can still plan to go. So the worst thing they could do right now is say, yeah, actually, we're noticing not a lot of people are signed up yet. As someone who's trying to market an event, you're trying to make your event desirable. And the worst way to do that is to be like, yeah, no, maybe people are fearing for their safety. Maybe people think it's way too expensive to, like, all of these are deal breakers. So if after the event happens and they get a little bit more honest about their figures, I would expect that. But right now, I would not expect them to be like, yeah, we're having a hard time. Yeah. Like,
yeah. Sorry. I just wonder if like saying that it's in line with expectations and some areas up or some are down, like, is that just vague enough that it's not false advertising? Does this actually count as like an advertisement? Can they get sued or fined and I guess like the US government any governing body in the US probably wouldn't bother suing the GDC anyway, or taking them, to wherever they can take them for recourse. So.
Well, technically the phrase tracking in line with expectations, if they're expecting a dip, if they're expecting less traffic, that's technically not wrong. So it's very gross, but I can see it from a business standpoint that technically they're not lying either way with that statement.
Now, there was another statement in here that said, I thought there was a statement in here. Oh yeah, in an interview, GDC Executive Director Mark DeLura conceded that the GDC team was hearing the same stories that GameRant reported on, or MobileGamer.biz reported on. But when asked if that was having an impact on ticket sales, said that we've not seen that yet. So it's still vague enough, but I think that's a little more concrete. But anyway, well, I guess we'll see. I mean, I do love the Game Developer Conference, American or not. Like, I do think always fun stuff comes out of it. Not into game announcements, but like really cool details about the behind the scenes of games and just like developers interacting. I think it was last year at GDC, there was like a big controversy with Life is Strange. It won an award and no one was there from the actual dev team to claim it. From the currently hired dev team, people who had been laid off at that point were actually there at GDC and were there to be able to go and claim the awards. And then they had the awards ripped out of their hands after the fact. I don't hope something like that happens, but when juicy stuff like that does come out of it too, it's a little fun. Hopefully it's not as bad as that case, but, or bad at all. Like, I just like juicy tidbits, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but that did happen last year. So I think it was GDC that happened at. I'm not 100% sure, but do we want to get into even juicier news, Lloyd?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. So this comes from VGC, and Ubisoft is proposing to cut another 200 jobs, this time in France, as part of its restructuring. Since we're a little bit going long on time, I'm not going to read the whole article here or what I'm quoting, but it does seem like the French unions are working with Ubisoft to come to some sort of agreement. But they're cutting. Oh, sorry. did I skip ahead here? Oh, sorry. Maybe I should read this actually. You know what? My brain, it's a Friday night. I'm tired. It's been a long week. All right. An Ubisoft spokesperson told VGC, in line with last week's announcements on its new operating model and the acceleration of cost reduction initiatives, Ubisoft International has initiated discussions regarding a potential rupture conventionnel collective, a voluntary mutual termination agreement that could involve up to 200 positions at its headquarters in France. So they are working with a union to actually lay these 200 people off. Now I'm sure it sounds like it's good that they're at least negotiating with the union. I'm sure they have no legal choice. I'm sure if they could just fire 200 people, they would just do that. So I don't think this is actually a good point in Ubisoft's favor at all. It is a good look for them, at least, where they're negotiating with the union instead of just firing these people. But let's be honest, if they were a good company, they wouldn't be firing 200 people or even trying to do it. So, something else that actually happened too, and this is going to kind of lead into, all these events with Ubisoft restructuring, the unions in France, this is all leading somewhere. And also something happened in Montreal recently where a dev at Ubisoft in Montreal publicly criticized the back to office requirement. So all over Canada, I'm sure all over the world as well, and particularly Ubisoft, people are being called back to work 5 days a week. And that doesn't mean they weren't working. That means they're working from home. So from the article, a team, and who's the article? Insider Gaming, I think. Yeah. A team lead at beleaguered Ubisoft has claimed, thanks to Insider Gaming, that he's been placed on a 3-day unpaid disciplinary suspension after he made public remarks criticizing the publisher's recent return to office mandate. David Michaud-Crump says he was told by bosses that this was because of an alleged breach of the duty of loyalty. So, and then I think he wrote here, so Ubisoft want to bring back 5 days in the office because they believe in collaboration, wrote the Ubisoft Montreal level design team lead. But come on, we're not completely stupid. And that's there in the article. I'm not saying that. We very well know why you want to go back to the 5 days in the office. Spoiler alert, it's not about efficiency or collaboration. His implication there being that it's about control, and about money. To justify the rent they're paying on these buildings and stuff like that. I do think there is an argument to be made for at least, a partial back to work mandate. A lot of businesses nearby offices do suffer. Like restaurants and coffee shops, third spaces, stuff like that. A lot of that stuff doesn't get traffic if people aren't working. So there is an economic reason for it, but the way commuting works, especially in Toronto, like it's just miserable. It's slow. It's painful. It takes up a lot of time. People already don't have enough time in their day to do the ththings they need to do, let alone the things they want to do. So there obviously some pushback, and I think this guy is justified, and I think it's BS that he's being punished. 3-day unpaid disciplinary suspension is complete bull crap. Lloyd, before we get into the icing on the cake, so to speak, do you have any thoughts?
I do feel bad for all of the professionals involved. But Ubisoft's been doing everybody wrong for so long. I'm okay with it eventually going away completely. Like, it's everything I hear about them, especially within the last couple of years. It's been one kind of slimy thing after another. And, you hit the nail on the head with the back to work initiative in offices. It's to not lose out on their investments in physical property. And it's always about control. It really is. There's very few models that are like, yeah, businesses absolutely work the most efficient when everyone has to be sitting next to each other 5 days a week. Like, that's not, there's no There's no data for that. I could see like if they had genuine interest in increasing collaboration, maybe if we heard something about exploring hybrid options, or they maybe hosted events in the office, or like there's certain things that go into actually backing up the claims of supporting collaboration than just, yeah, you all need to have your asses in these chairs 5 days a week right here where I can see you. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and you said I hit the nail on the head, but I think you did as well. And, like I've met a few I've had a couple of Ubisoft people on the podcast, but, I've also met other Ubisoft employees and contractors in the city over the years because I live here in Toronto, and I used to actually live right across the street from Ubisoft actually. And so I've met some people, and basically they said like, don't work there. Don't go work there. It's the bottom of the barrel, thankless corporate hellscape. Is the vibe I'm getting from them. No one actually ever used those words, but those are the implications of everything they told me. That's kind of me distilling it down to corporate hellscape is the best way to put it. And so, various French unions that represent Ubisoft, are calling on international Ubisoft employees to join them in a global company-wide walkout for 3 days in February. And I'm going to say something here. I think the entire planet, if you are not in charge of your company, or if you're not a head boss, everyone should be taking to the streets. If you're suffering from the cost of living crisis, if you're suffering from all the BS that's been going down since the start of the pandemic, I think we should all be walking out for 3 days, and we should also be on a spending strike. I think we should just go 3 days without giving anyone any money at all or doing anyone any work. Let's not make those rich bastards any more money for 3 days and see how they like it. And honestly, I think if we could manage it, at least we should at least try to the spending money part wouldn't work for so long. But I do think we need a general strike that lasts until we get what we want. I don't care who's going to blow my head off for having said that publicly. But I really do think it's time that everyone in every industry, even if you're doing well in your industry, we need to strike. We need to be in solidarity. The only reason we have any rights now that are being taken away as workers is because people went on general strikes in the 1900s, 100 years ago. I'm saying that like it was centuries ago, but in the early 1900s, There was a lot of strikes, unions formed, and then people suddenly started getting rights as workers. The 8-hour workday, that wouldn't be a thing without strikes and unions. So, hey, do you want better working conditions? This is how we get them. We have to work together. It's really important. Talk to me, people. Talk to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Lloyd. Go for it.
You got it. And especially with the age of the internet, you would think it would be a little bit easier for people to organize or what have you. But it gets to a point where, there's more of us than them. There's a reason why it's a 1% situation, with all of the wealth, especially here in America. It's a huge, huge amount that only the 1% has. And we literally have the power. I know there's some situations of privilege and intersectionality where someone, if they lost their job, their entire life would be over. They've got, they might be a single parent or anything like that. Or here in the United States, they really have us locked down because, not to really get into politics, but they have us really locked down in sort of a not complacency, but in a powerlessness model because our access to healthcare is directly tied to our employment. And so that's why general strikes, you don't really hear as much bad stuff, horrible things is happening in the US right now. The reason why strikes haven't been really possible to, I'm sure an economist and a sociologist would be able to have more accurate figures on why and points on why, but, so much about what we need to survive, we're barely getting to begin with. But the little crumbs that we do get is directly tied to our employment, which is from a villain and evaluation standpoint, it's genius. It's genius. It keeps the working class working. It keeps the working class being exploitable. But I'm with you. It should happen. It should happen. It would be nice if people who are in a position of privilege, who could not work, who are comfortable, use that privilege to demand change. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're kind of, we've been talking for a while about, we haven't even gotten to our AI discussion yet. So I'm going to quickly go over this one piece of news. Scott Pilgrim EX, the fighter beat 'em up sequel to that other Scott Pilgrim game that was actually a movie tie-in game, has gotten a release date. It did leak on the eShop earlier this week. It's coming March 3rd, and it was later confirmed with an official trailer. The game is coming to Steam, Nintendo Switch, which is backwards compatible with the Switch 2, PS4 and PS5, and Xbox Series. They announced 2 new playable fighters, Matthew Patel and Robot01. If you don't remember who Robot01 is from Scott Pilgrim, because you only saw the movie, that's fine. Robot01 is not in the movie. It's, they're only in the comics and the Netflix show. And everyone should watch the Netflix show, by the way. It's awesome. I mean, obviously I don't really agree with supporting Netflix, but the show itself, I think it's getting a Blu-ray release. It is awesome. And this game is kind of a sequel to the show specifically. The rest of the playable fighters are Scott, Ramona, and a few of her evil exes. Again, the show is the reason the evil exes are playable. I won't spoil why. Sadly though, Wallace Wells is not playable, but he is in the game, making this a queer game. Alright, Lloyd, do you have any super quick thoughts on Scott Pilgrim EX before we jump to our break?
No, I'm gonna check out the show because I've only seen the movie, but no, sounds good.
Yeah, I really like the show. And the voice cast comes back for the show as well. All the original actors are in it. So they shelled out for the actors, which almost never happens. All right, we are going to take a very short break. And after this musical interlude, we'll be back on to talk about artificial intelligence. Hi, True Avatars, and welcome back from the break. So, Lloyd, we've been talking about AI for the last year. So, I mean, AI is like the hot button topic right now. Everyone is talking about it. It's very popular, but also everyone seems to be very against it. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. I have to use it at work, and I got to admit, some of the tools are really cool, even if they give me the ick. Other tools are very helpful. Stuff that, like, you know, it's just like automating certain things instead of like generative AI bothers me, but there are certain things that are like kind of using generative AI to automate an otherwise mundane process that's something that's not creative, like filtering audio, for example. The way it does that is kind of the same process as generative AI, but it's using something you already gave it, and it's basically recreating it without the background noise. That's Adobe Podcast Enhance, and I do use that on my own voice in the podcast, and I always get, when I need it to use it on another guest's voice, I get their consent. And so what is it doing? It's basically like regenerating your voice and then basically doing that so it can filter out the background noise, because it can only take out so much of the background noise by itself. And it's really interesting because it will also regenerate the background noise and also varying levels of audio quality. So you can actually map it to like, oh, well, I want it to sound 90% like the way I originally sounded with like 15% of the background noise instead of all 100% of it. Or, hey, I want some of that background noise back in there for some authenticity. So it's kind of malleable. And so where I kind of sit is like 35 and 10. I do 35% like my own voice, or whatever it is. It's like 35%. 35% is more like my voice than not. So 100% would be like not like my voice, I think. Anyway, I keep it sounding more like my voice than I keep sounding like it's the artificial one, but I remove almost all the background noise. I leave a tiny bit, but anyway. So like there are some tools I think that are very useful, but then there's obviously things like 11 Labs, and I use 11 Labs at work, and that is straight up just like you can feed anyone's voice into that and generate a brand new voice out of it. And it's scary. Because it keeps getting better too. Like you used to not be able to do this very well, but now I can record my voice. And like if I wanted to sound like a cis woman, I could record my entire podcast, feed that recording into there, choose a woman's voice, and it will read everything exactly the way I read it, just in a different voice, like a true voice changer. And that's generative AI, even if I'm feeding my voice in there. That is true generative AI, and that freaks me out quite a bit. Yeah. Anyway, it's also starting to bleed into games. Sorry. Looks like your head.
I've got pretty similar, I was realizing going into prepping for this episode that AI as a word, as a phrase, as a product feature that they're going to be marketing for until the end of time. It's going to be here. And so going into this, I was like, well, there's got to be different types, right? There's got to be different types of models. There's got to be different types of tools. I actually found myself like looking up some of these things because I was like, well, there's certain things that and I had some like conceptual ideas. I was like, well, maybe like managing, like formulas or like assistants managing huge data sets that you already have. Like there's certain things that I was like, I could definitely see this being helpful. But I think what's happening is on a global scale, the conversation around AI is not productive. It's not productive. It's, people are getting like compassion fatigue about it. Compassion fatigue to the point that there's certain people I know, either professionally or like coworkers or people that I have like to a degree of forced proximity to, but that I can't even like bring up AI because they're sick of it, they're over it, they're kind of apathetic towards it. And I think to a degree that's been done intentionally by the forces that be in the companies that want to keep making money off of AI. If they blast AI all over the place, they make it really easy to put a cute hat on your little kitty video. They're like forcing this fatigue that's making it very difficult to have productive conversations.
Yeah, you're right. And I do think there's some nuance to it. Ultimately, and this isn't to come to a thesis point either, but I think the part that bothers me more than taking out the creativity of it, like the firing of people, like replacing jobs is a big, huge problem. I think with any new technology, that's going to happen. And what you hope happens whenever there's a new technology that takes over jobs is those people go, those people fill other jobs. There are new jobs that have sprung from that. Like the world just changes. Like when factories were a thing, like suddenly automation, like I think about like down the street, every grocery store now has automatic cashiers, right? Like automated cashiers, cash registers. And there's only like a few people working the cash registers now. So like, I don't know if they're hiring those people in these stores, but now the people that were working those cash registers are now doing other things that are also productive in the store. That's not always the case. That doesn't always work out that way, but that's kind of how new technology works, is like something makes things easier. Okay. We don't need a human to do this anymore, or we don't need as many humans to do this anymore. Now we need like 1 or 2 humans with something that took like a few. I think the environmental problem is a bigger issue for me, is that it uses so much water for cooling reasons that it is actually causing problems. We're already ruining the environment before, and now it's just like we were almost kind of on the verge of maybe moving away from fossil fuels. I feel like we're 20 to 30 years away from like maybe actually moving on from fossil fuels. Obviously, the people that control that whole element of it probably will continue being rich, making like electric vehicles and other renewable energy, but at least the environment might get a breather. But now that we're doing this to our oceans and our lakes and our water sources, like it's not good. Also, this is a video game podcast. So the reason we're talking about it this week is because there's been some news this week about AI in video games. And actually one of those stories, as I mentioned earlier, broke today. But the story that got me kind of prompted on this, and that's not a pun, unfortunately, is that Valve has changed the rules for what you are, for the requirements for what you need to disclose. So to make it clear, on Steam's, on any game page, if there is generative AI used in the game, you are required to disclose it. Now, it's not an opt-in thing, but it's on the honor system. So like, if you don't want to tell people that your game has Gen AI in it, and you think your game passes without people realizing there's generative AI in it, you don't have to report it. You don't have to disclose it. But Steam requires you to do so. And maybe there's penalties if you're caught and you didn't disclose it. I don't know. But recently they changed what those rules are. So, the headline, and I'm reading from the LinkedIn post from the guy who figured this out, is the headline is that Valve's making it clear that AI-powered tools like code helpers, and I'm sure, Lloyd, you're going to get into that later, do not trigger the need to disclose any use. Efficiency gains through the use of AI-powered dev tools is not the focus of this section, right? So I guess this would be like using AI to generate a character model versus using AI to clean up the audio files for the character's voice lines with the background noise or whatever, making it sound higher quality. One of those things is generative, so to speak, and the other one is not, so to speak, generative. So I think that's the best way I can compare it in a simple way for someone who does not program or code or do any kind of game design. Devs still have to disclose 2 different types of AI use. This is again quoted from the LinkedIn page. AI to generate content for the game, whether it be the game itself, the store page, or marketing materials. A free-form box allows devs to describe this purely in text form of their choosing. AI content generated by during gameplay. A simple tick box on whether the game itself generates AI-created images, audio, text, and other content. So like you're in the game, you're in a life sim game, and you're like, hey, I really want the pattern of tiles on my kitchen floor in this game to be blue and red. Well, you go in there and you type, I want blue and red tiles, and it goes, oh, it reads that. Some water filters through a processor and some data center, and it goes, boop, 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 boop. Here's your red and blue tiles. Whereas in Nintendo's, for example, Tomodachi Life, you're gonna like draw those red and blue tiles yourself, and it's gonna use the old form of language learning model AI to just kind of go, okay, here's boop, 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 boop. Here's all your tiles now, all put together. But you made them. We just duplicated them for you automatically. That's like the most layman terms I can get about that. So Lloyd, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I agree with the idea of generating content fresh, and generating content in general is unethical. Environmentally wise, I have some information on, just how much goes into generating a visible asset, whether or not it's a still image or a video. But also, it's replacing creatives. It's taking out entire art departments. It's not at a functionable place now that you're going to be able to get away with firing everybody. But it is certainly approaching
Microsoft
that.
did.
Did they? Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of people got fired late last year.
It's getting fast. But so in like this pursuit of me like recognizing but not really having the language for it, I did some research and found a couple articles by IBM talking about different types of AI. And so looking into that one, I was like, okay, well, let's see. And I'm going to paraphrase it a bit. We can link the article if you want to check it out. I do recommend it. Granted, keep in mind it's a tech company, so it will have a certain lens to it. But I found it was a very good like introduction to the topics. And just to like do a really quick paraphrase there's 3 different general types of AI. And what I was shocked at is the only one that's currently active by meaning it's feasible is the first one, which is artificial narrow AI, sometimes also known as weak AI. It's the only type of AI that exists currently. And it's because it performs very specific defined tasks, and it needs an extensive amount. It needs training. It needs to be trained. It needs information to be fed into it to be able to even consider making something. The other 2 are theoretical, but like that's what the technical industry is hoping to go towards eventually. General AI, it's the concept of creating new tasks, but it does not directly need human training to be done to like, it can work off of itself. And I feel like this is a really important distinction to make because a lot of people have this idea that AI is all powerful, that you can give it anything and it can make anything. ChatGPT can make anything for you, or like a Google photo thing can make anything for you. Well, right now it's very limited. And the amount of resources necessary to get something useful. I apologize, I don't have the reference to link, but I was reading something the other day that was saying if a child needed to see 60,000 photos of a cat to identify a cat, you wouldn't think that was a very bright child. And I was like keeping that in mind for AI. It's like, yeah, that's a ridiculous amount of resources necessary to do something simple that a human can do. And it's not necessarily saying that AI is useless, right? But it is saying that the amount of resources that need to go into it for it to function on a base level is astronomical. And the people paying the price for those resources are at-risk communities to begin with, usually areas that don't have access to great healthcare. And it's usually already either poverty, at-risk communities, or groups that just do not have the resources to be able to defend themselves legally. And the data centers just here in the US alone are massive. They're making people incredibly ill. This isn't just affecting like, a block or two nearby the data center. It's affecting entire states. Electricity bills are going up for residents because and it's incredible. It's incredible in an evil way how everything's panning out. But resident electric bills are going up because data centers exist. The individual consumers aren't doing anything different. But because of the inherent cost of it being nearby, it's just ruining lives on so many levels. But I kind of went off the rails a little bit. Zoe had mentioned about visual. You could type in a prompt and then it could create like these theoretical tiles with this theoretical interior design. The second article I started going down the rabbit hole of was this concept of computer vision. And computer vision, this is also an IBM article, is something needed to create any visual media using AI. And it's incredible. This article identifies the different steps involved. There's recognition, reconstruction, and reorganization are like the two very broad like concepts that all work together to create a visual item. And that's just the beginning. That's just identifying, if you give this AI model or this generative thing a photo to work off of or a video to edit. Recognition identifies actions, objects, people, places, writing in the video. And then reconstruction has to then define the 3D characteristics in the video. And then reorganization kind of integrates all of that together. And that is just the most basic introductory level to it. In the article, it goes down even further to break down just all of the technical things that need to happen for either a photo or a video to exist. Photo, like for just a still image, already an incredible amount of resources and computing power and what have you. But the videos, as I was getting further into it, it was getting a bit more technical, but I was still getting this image painted of this isn't something that we should be doing. This isn't something like it needs an incredible amount of people's data. There's no way that Google or Microsoft or any of these companies have enough of ethically sourced information to even be able to train these models. Granted, of course, legally wise, you have your terms and conditions and all these fun things. So yes, legally, they may have acquired all of this training material from your Google photo album or your OneDrive or whatever, but your Google Drive or what have you. But as from a consumer standpoint of what feels right or not, as I was learning a little bit more about this, I cannot get behind visual generative AI. There's so many things.
Yeah, and that's where this next article kind of comes in. So first off, I don't know how I feel about Steam. I know it's a podcast. I should have an opinion. I don't know how I feel about Steam changing the terms for what constitutes, generative AI. I think it would be nice if all games had to disclose it. I think some games are probably already lying to begin with. Some of them just have to be. Like, just the odds have to be. That, like, if there's... I think I read something like in one of the articles I pulled is 8,000 games have the tag on Steam for generative AI warning for disclosure. But, like... Or maybe there's 8,000 games on Steam. I can't remember. Maybe I should actually check. I have the article here. 1 second. Just so I can be precise. An analysis found that nearly 8,000 titles released on Steam in the first 6 months of 2025 had disclosed the use of generative AI compared to around 1,000 during the entirety of 2024. So I think just like the numbers game you're playing there is just like eventually someone's going to lie about it, right? But I do think like ethically speaking is that those, even if it's not in the game, if you're using tools that are using those resources, the ethics of however those, whether it's images or water use or electricity or whatever whatever resource is being consumed, I think I would like to know if a game is using it no matter what process it was that it took to do that. But I also don't disclose in every episode that I use Adobe Podcast Enhance, and I guess that's also incurring a resource somewhere, right? So I guess that also makes me part of the problem. So I'm a bit of a hypocrite. But where we're about to see this kind of change the game a little bit, and maybe it won't, maybe it'll crash and burn, I don't know. But this article that came out today is that Google has rolled out a prototype of Project Genie, which is an AI tool that generates playable worlds, is how the VGC article phrases it. Now, I saw a game come up, and I didn't save it because at the time I didn't realize what I was looking at. I just knew it was AI. I didn't realize it was Google. I didn't realize, I just thought maybe it was like a test, or maybe like I didn't realize it was available to the public. But basically, like, someone prompted this, like, French woman explores world or whatever, and there was like all these platforms over the ocean, and she was platforming and she was jumping up and up, and it was an AI generated world, but it's playable. You could play it. You could like jump up and down and fall and reset like any video game. And so I do think that if this model gets better, and it probably will, if everything crashes and burns, this model is going to get better first. If the AI bubble is going to burst, I don't see it happening soon. To be honest, I don't know that I see it happening at all. The pessimist in me feels like this is probably not people talking about the bubble bursting, like maybe it will. But again, anyway, so I feel like this is going to get better and better, this model of game generation. And before you know it, there's going to be some game at the Game Awards that's winning because someone prompted a video game with generative AI, and now it's Game of the Year, and people don't even know. Or maybe they do and they don't care. And it's going to be a whole thing. That's not to say that I think Jeff Keighley would let it slide. I think he would, but I'm not Jeff Keighley and I'm not going to speak for him. But I do see this as somewhere, this is the direction it's heading. And if this prototype model can make something that looked to me like, yeah, I could tell it was AI to some extent because it was a little bit bland, but like, if someone had told me, hey, Zoe, this is a prototype for a video game. It's very basic, but we've like fine-tuned the visuals a little bit, and we've developed a little bit of a world here, and we're trying out some mechanics. I might believe it's a beta for something. Maybe a test world, maybe not something final or ever intended to be final, but like, I could have been convinced that it wasn't AI. And maybe I'm just bad at like identifying that, but I think video games are about to have the same issue that movies have, where like, yes, people were creating AI art and AI assets, but now you can just make the game with AI. You don't even have to like do the whole process. You can just tell the game, hey, I want Mario, but with guns. And I don't know if it'll do that because Mario's copyright. I'm not sure what the legal groundwork is there, but like, it'll give you Mario with guns. Right? And I think this is the world that, as gamers, we have to be prepared for. And maybe if any developers are listening as well, this is the world that we have to be prepared for, because I think if this does well, whether I think it should or will or not, doesn't matter. This is going to replace this is going to fast track all those layoffs. They're going to accelerate, because why would Ubisoft spend years developing Beyond Good and Evil 2, which they've already spent decades on, when you could just say, hey, here's the game we made, finish it. This is what we want it to be. This is how we want it to work. Make the rest of the game. Boom. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is done. I'm not saying this is going to happen or I want it to happen. I'm not trying to think this into the world, but like, why would you spend millions of dollars making a game over decades when you can just feed the prompt into the game, into this Project Genie? Anyway, Lloyd, I have been talking for a while. Please, the floor is yours.
Yeah. For that theoretical, the technology isn't there yet. It's just the short of it. It would take a huge amount of individual prompts to finish a game, right? I know that was just like a generic throwaway kind of idea, but the tech isn't there, and the amount of resources you need to do that would be astronomical. I'm not sure if this is exactly the one you were talking about, but one of the articles you shared with me, that was Google, so it might be this one. And I was reading it, and you need a subscription to a $250 Google AI thing. I'm sorry if you already said that.
That's cheap, by the way. Their video is more expensive than that. Their VO3 is, I think, $300 or something like that. I could be wrong, but I remember it being very much more expensive.
Gotcha. And on top of that, currently, at least at the time of the article, those worlds you can only explore for 60 seconds, and then they don't exist anymore. Which I thought was interesting, but it also highlights that the tech isn't there yet. So the AI will just run and it will do whatever. It'll generate wherever direction you're turning as you're playing, but there's a cutoff. It cuts you off. And I'm not surprised that it's 60 seconds, even though you're paying $250 for however often you pay that. It highlights the heavy resource model. Yeah. Is it per month?
Per month, yeah.
Sorry, I thought, wow, okay. But to answer your question about the AI bubble, I think it will pop in a sense. I think all of this AI slop for like AI assisted targeted to consumers, not business to business targeted AI features and, like Adobe Podcast Enhance. I consider that to me a little bit more business to business because it's a little bit more of a professional tool. But I think the bubble will burst when it comes to casual consumer access to AI. Just because it's not a sustainable model. If they keep trying to push, pay this subscription, this really ridiculously expensive subscription, just so you can make your funny cat videos. That bubble's going to burst.
Yeah.
Eventually there's going to be so much AI content out there. We're already starting to see it. It's going to start creating really aggressive AI hallucinations, when they call it, when the AI just kind of like either lies or it just like goes off into left field and does its own thing. Once there's enough AI content out there that it is outnumbering real content, real photos, real videos, real text, it will start just imploding on itself. And I'm sure they'll try to find a way to get around that. But I think there's going to be a burst. It's not going to go away, but I think there is going to be a burst.
So I hope you're right. First off, I hope you're right. I don't know if I think you're right, but I think, sorry, I'm just crossing out a couple things in my document here to save for a different episode because we are running out of time. But my concern is that, think 2 or 3 years ago and where AI was then. We were barely talking about it. Like we were humoring like Will Smith eating spaghetti. Like it looked kind of silly, right? That was like a couple of years ago. Like 2 years ago when I first started using the 11 Labs voices at work, they were temp only. They were not good enough to be on anything but for timing purposes, right? It was like, get something in there, get it really rough. We were doing that stuff anyway as the editors, and the people that were like directing, they were just like throwing in a quick, they don't have to spend that 3 to 5 minutes anymore. It's just me, 30 seconds. I copy and paste the script into the 11 Labs, generate a voice, it comes out. Boom, I pop that in to the edit. So I have it for timing purposes. So client can see something. So we can see something. Now, most times they just use that voice because it's almost indistinguishable. Obviously, I know it's fake, and I'm gaming the prompts to get it to sound as human as I can, to get it to perform in the way I want it to perform. But my concern is that even if whether the bubble bursts or not, my concern is that like AI is evolving so fast, and it's still, it gives me some hope that it's actually not as good as we think it is. Like it's actually very, very, very resource intensive, and it's not doing everything that it should be the way we think it's doing it. Like it's not as creative and as like intelligent as we think it is. But my concern is that like give it a year and this Project Genie will be out of prototype and it will be, it's not 60 seconds anymore. Now it's 10 minutes, or now it's an hour, or now it can actually export the finished game and you can explore it as much as you like because now it's generated the world and now you can just do whatever in it. It's not generating your response to it. Because I didn't realize it was like, oh, you want to go left in this world? Okay. The AI is generating the world to respond in that way for you to go left. It's generating the character for that. I just assumed it generated the world and the gameplay mechanics as code, gave you a game, and then you were playing the game. I didn't realize that. I should have read the article, but it's been a busy day and the news came out today. But my concern is that even if it's not good, it will still progress far enough that it will become something that people can start using to cut jobs. Mm-hmm. And it'll happen sooner than we think. Too, like 6 months to a year, because it feels like it's getting exponentially faster. And that's what I'm really worried about for all the creative industries, not just video games, but like I'm a filmmaker and I'm very scared for my job right now because anyway, I'm not going to get into it, but like we're one programming thing with AI away from just AI being able to do everything that I do. So
Gotcha. I mean, yeah, we can talk about it more in another episode, but the current growth of AI, it has been scary big, but it's been unsustainable. The infrastructure that they've currently have, they've been blowing up. They've been creating data centers like there's no tomorrow. They're going to run out of space. So the current growth we've seen has been scary, but I don't think it can keep at this trajectory for forever, but we'll find out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very worrying regardless of what might happen. Because like, okay, then the argument for me is like, okay, maybe it stops growing, but maybe it stabilizes and the things they did build up continue doing what they're doing, even if it doesn't keep growing, but they still keep using, like, growth or not growth, like everything that exists is already using resources. Like if it all became stagnant right now and still kept using the same amount of resources, that's still bad. So like my hope would be a burst is like, first off, I want video games. Even if this meant the PS6 had to come out tomorrow as a response to like all these like things becoming cheaper, like, memory for computers, like memory chips. I would be fine with the PS6 coming out sooner than it should if that meant prices for gaming and and jobs. People are getting jobs back and just like things kind of like stabilized again and came back down. But I think in a lot of ways we've opened Pandora's box this decade, and I don't think we can close it. We can put the Pandora back in the box or whatever the metaphor is. Anyway, Lloyd, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up for this week?
No. This was a good, like, we've been trying to have this conversation, so I think we've hit everything that we've got.
Yeah, there was a couple other things I really wanted to get into, that we didn't talk about, but I do think, yeah, there's like room for this to keep having this discussion. I think it's a discussion we are going to keep having. And because I think news is going to keep coming out about it anyway, even if we don't just feel like filling a segment up with this discussion or keep hitting the same points, like other stuff is going to happen. Project Genie is a today thing. And who knows where we'll be in 2 weeks from now talking about this. Anyway. We will come back to this. Another topic I do want to talk about in a future episode is there any good use for AI in gaming? And that includes generative AI. And I'm not defending AI. But I am just, maybe there is some things that we could use AI for that would not take away jobs, but make people who do have jobs already easier. But that's a discussion for another time because I didn't really have time to even delve that out in my show notes. So we'll talk about that in a future episode. But anyway, Lloyd, thank you so much for joining me this week. We went a little over time, but I really, really appreciate you, and everything that we had to talk about this week. I think it was a great episode. Where can people find you?
Yes, you can find me Lloyd_Lloydster on YouTube and Twitch and TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, and I'm Lloyd.Lloydster on Blue Sky.
Amazing. All right. Well, thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you, too. Take care.
And that just about wraps up this week's show. Thanks, True Avatars, for joining me for another episode of your Queer Video Game Podcast. By listening to the show, you are supporting queer-made content, which is more important than ever. If you want to support True Avatars, it would be really great if you could leave a comment, rating, or review on your preferred podcast platform. You can follow the show on Blue Sky, Twitter, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube under the handle @TrueAvatars, all one word, and on Facebook and Instagram under True Avatars. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe, as well as hit the notification bell so you can be the first to know when new content drops. I welcome you to check out the official website, trueavatarspodcast.com. That's all one word, trueavatarspodcast.com. On the website, you can sign up for the newsletter, where you can get exclusive news and updates on the show. Bye, True Avatars. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking with you all again next week. Take care and stay safe.